DW Africa Link.
Southern Africa is on edge as Cyclone Chido barrels closer. Malawi and Zimbabwe are now bracing for the worst. Potential evacuations and catastrophic flooding loom large as the storm continues its eastern trajectory. The region is no stranger to this crisis. Cyclone Idai's devastation still echoes in memory, and the fear of a repeat disaster is all too real. Communities already grappling with fragile infrastructure and recovery efforts are now staring down yet another threat. What's happening on the ground? Are the preparations enough to withstand the storm? And how can nations better protect the most vulnerable? Today, we unpack the unfolding story of Cyclone Chido and what it means for millions at risk. Stay tuned. My name is Josie Mahachi. Welcome to Africa Link, the podcast that connects you to the stories that matter from Africa.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
Malawi and Zimbabwe are bracing for potential evacuations due to flooding as Chido continues its eastern trajectory. Although the cyclone has weakened as it passes over land, the situation remains critical. December through to March is cyclone season in the southwestern Indian Ocean, and a series of strong ones have devastated southern Africa in recent years. To remind you, Cyclone Idai in 2019 claimed more than 1,300 lives, mostly in Mozambique, Malawi, and Zimbabwe. And as if that was not enough, Cyclone Freddy left more than 1,000 dead across several countries in the Indian Ocean and Southern Africa last year. Now, in this podcast with Lucy Mtilatila, the Director of Climate Change and Meteorological Services in Malawi, and DW's correspondent in Lilongwe, Mirriam Kariza, we are going to delve into the depth on Malawi's preparedness in case Cyclone Chido hits. I'll just start with you, Mirriam Kariza, our correspondent. You are the reporter on ground. What is the general mood, and when ordinary people hear of cyclone gaining momentum, they must be scared to the bone, isn't it?
Thank you very much for having me. Jose, the general mood, people were very worried when the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, DODMA, and in collaboration with the Made Department, announced that we're having Cyclone Chido, because people still have memories of Cyclone Freddy, so people were very worried. Lucky enough, we are told it has weakened and it's gone currently, so maybe the bad mood has been lifted a bit, but we are not yet out of the danger zone since some scores of people have been affected.
Now, the good thing is we have Lucy Mtilatila here. She's the Director of Climate Change and Meteorological Services in the country. Now, Lucy, from what Mirriam has just tried to give us a picture of what is happening, I know you have a clearer picture. I mean, as someone who's been anticipating this and you've been working on this, how prepared is Malawi in case of Cyclone Chido hits its territory?
I would say I've seen a lot of improvements comparing with the way we were affected by Freddy. This time around, we could see that many institutions were ready. And I think maybe because Freddy has taught us so many lessons. So right now, the moment we started issuing warnings, we could see that people were really moving up and down. All the sectors we're in. You know, we had health sectors preparing education, we're preparing, the transport, we're preparing. It was really overwhelming, actually, if we compare with the way we've been responding to other cyclones.
Now, as you just mentioned that you are now more prepared than before, because we remember Cyclone Idai left families in Malawi, neighboring Mozambique and Zimbabwe, facing devastation and hundreds of thousands of children such a pity across the three countries in need of urgent assistance. How has the recovery road been?
Yeah, the recovery has been very challenging because, since in 2019, we were affected by Idai. In 2022, we were affected by Tropical Storm Anna and Tropical Cyclone Gombe. And then 2023, Tropical Cyclone Freddy. So you can see that people, before they recover from the previous disaster, they are now impacted on another disaster, which is even more than the one that you are recovering from. So there have been a lot of recurrence of these disasters, but I think we are still struggling. We haven't recovered yet. And you can see that it's the same population also that is being affected almost every year. So it's really tough for the communities to come up, to be resilient to these disasters right now.
And Mirriam, you are our eyes on the ground. In your opinion, how prepared are local communities for a possible cyclone?
This time around, I would say local communities were aware that we were anticipating Cyclone Chido. Unlike Freddy, it caught people unawares, maybe because also institutions like Lucy is saying were not as ready or as prepared. This time around, there was intensified awareness. Community radios went all out, telling people that there's Cyclone Chido coming. And if you're staying in the shores of the rivers or lakes, please move to the higher sides. And people were told what to do. And if they think that their structures are not solid enough, they should move. So everyone was talking about it, making sure that they know what is ahead and they prepared. It was really nice to see that communities were aware and they knew what to expect and what to do in case it hits.
Now, we are talking of just Malawi, right? There's countries like Zimbabwe, countries like Mozambique who are likely to be hit. And just to learn from you also, Lucy, you said this time around you are so prepared. Can you tell us some of the do's and don'ts that you've put in place, and what kind of help do communities in your country, especially in rural areas, need urgently to face off Cyclone Chido?
Yes, as I said, I think the coordinations now are very good. We have so many sectors that are coming in to work together to respond to such kind of disasters. And this one is also escalated at district level. We have like national clusters, and these are replicated at district level as well. Right now, they are the districts who are responding now to this to the people who are affected by Cyclone Chido. So you can see already there's a lot of coordination, so many sectors coming in, and it's trickling down to the communities. Even at community level, we have also volunteers there who are helping each other at community level. So when it comes to responding to disasters, we are okay. But maybe the challenge now is preparedness. We still have to enhance the preparedness part, because, preparedness, it's not only about when the cyclone is about to hit, but it's how we prepare ourselves when we are planning our settlements, for example. That's where we need to start from. We need to make sure that we are not settling where we are making ourselves vulnerable. One, we need also to make sure that our structures that we're building are also not vulnerable, making us increasing the risk for ourselves. So those are the things that we need to wake up on for us to be more resilient to the future disasters that may come.
Is there any plan in the pipeline for what you've just mentioned, like to ensure that settlements, because when the previous cyclones hit, I'm sure that there was a lot of displacement that happened. And where are these people being taken to? Is it not what causes even the settlement issues that you're referring to now, that these cyclones keep coming? I mean, it's something that we can't avoid, especially for people in Southern Africa.
Yes, I think right now we are advocating building back better. As we are being impacted by these cyclones, we are learning a lot. So as we are building back, how can we do it better so that we should not make ourselves vulnerable? So that's what we are advocating right now. So that's where we are working with the communities to make sure that everyone understands this, and we move from the way we used to do things, and we change according to the way things are changing right now. And it's really worrisome, though, considering that the frequency indeed of these cyclones that are hitting Malawi are increasing now.
Now, for Mirriam, after Cyclone Idai, international organizations recommended to the government that a stronger and more timely early warning system that utilizes media such as radio that households can access should be put in place. Has that happened?
Well, I would say to an extent it has happened, but I think there is need for intensification. I think Malawi always grapple with the preparedness part, like Lucy has already said. So maybe it will happen for a short period of time, and when time passes by, everybody forgets about it, and we go back to our normal selves. I would say there's need for intensification.
Lucy, in the aftermath of Cyclone Idai, like I just said now, UNICEF is one of those organizations that came to Malawi's rescue. I don't know if there are others that I might not be aware of. You can tell us. But how closely are you working with these organizations, or are you waiting for the disaster before you contact them for help, or they're already on standby?
No, we work with them quite a lot. When it comes to early warning, for example, you've mentioned UNICEF here, is supporting us to come up with impact-based forecast for some catchment, where we are trying to monitor and to monitor floods and flash floods and be able to warn the communities in advance. We are piloting at 3 catchments, 2 in the northern region and 1 in Blantyre City. So yes, we are working with them when it comes to these issues, early warning, disaster management, and everything. And apart from that, we have WFP as well that are also coming in, especially when we are about to respond to the people being impacted. But as well, I've seen them also coming in to support preparedness as well. There are programs of anticipatory action on how we can support people before the disaster comes in. So we have partners like WFP, FAO, Red Cross, who are really vigilant in this sector to make sure that we are supporting people before the disaster comes in. But when it comes to response as well, they are also very instrumental to support with shelter, food, and a lot of things that are happening right now. Right now, they are on the ground also to support the victims of Cyclone Chido.
Mm-hmm. And there has been huge sums of millions money, of course, in dollars from the World Bank and other international organizations were approved to help Malawi recover from a tropical cyclone Idai. Then how did this money transform communities that were affected by the cyclone?
Yes, I remember that the support were in twofold, trying to build the infrastructure, at the same time trying to support the victims so that they bounce back and be able to gain their livelihood. Yes, there was some support to some extent. However, I remember also when now Tropical Cyclone Anna came, it happened to be the same communities as well being impacted. And I remember some of the interventions that were being recovered also were hit during Tropical Cyclone Anna. So yeah, it's a challenge, but by and by, as I said, that now we are looking at building back better. So maybe with this scenario, we should be able to minimize the people who are being affected by these cyclones. So measures are being put in place, like there have been some relocations of people in some areas, like in Sanje district and other areas where people have been relocated because of that, because of the area was really highly prone. That's why even during the tropical cyclone Freddy, like this district I'm mentioning about, which used to be a hit or a hot spot when it comes to floods because of the cyclones, during Tropical Cyclone Freddy was not. Because many people, one, they are already aware, they understand the situation, and they heed to the messages and warnings, so they moved upland.
When you talk of flood-prone areas, are you talking of areas like the Shire Valley? Because I'm just quite interested to know about this, if it's already experiencing like rising water levels, Lucy.
Yes, it's the Shire Valley. Especially, Shire Valley, it goes through several districts, but the last two districts, they're the ones which are really flood-prone, because it's a lowland. It's like all the waters that is collected upland is accumulated there. So these have been the hot spots when it comes to flood. Yes, and right now the Lake Malawi has been rising over the past years. I think since 2019 or so, it has been gradually been increasing. So with that, we are seeing also that the Shire River level has also risen. And already, yes, that one is also affecting the people in the lower Shire. Actually, when Chido was coming, that's where our worry was. But now the good thing with Chido did not bring as much water as we anticipated. That's it's most of the people that are affected. It's because of the strong winds. So with that, yeah, the people in these two districts in the lower Shidi, they were not impacted as much.
And Mirriam, as you are moving around, obviously trying to get more reports and see how people are faring and preparing, because neighboring Mozambique has been hit hard as well, and everybody will be scared, everybody will be worried. Have you seen any measures being taken to ensure at least children, the elderly, and the people, especially with disabilities, are prioritized in evacuation and relief efforts in case something happens?
I've seen that measures have been put in place. For example, the Ministry of Education announced the other day that learners shouldn't go to school on the 16th and 17th, that's today, just to monitor the situation, so that when it hits, like we anticipated, it shouldn't really affect teachers and learners. That was really nice. Because if it was that bad and kids were in school, it would have been chaotic. We saw also the government prepare evacuation centers. These are mostly schools, and those that have been affected have been taken there, and camps also. The Malawi Red Cross is on the ground giving help to whoever wants it. And currently, the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, DODMA, with humanitarian partners, they are facilitating also provision of relief assistance to those that have been affected. We are told that at least 7,000 households have been affected. That's approximately 34,000 people that have been affected. And just to mention that we were told that 2 deaths were recorded. As of today, we are at 7. But to say the truth, it's not that bad. So the situation is a bit manageable.
Right. Now, I know that Lucy also might have something to add to that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we are also working with Save the Children, who are always making sure that when the district are doing their assessments, they are also segregating according to age, so that they should know how many children need to be reached. And there are already programs to respond to these children, including issues of nutrition. I know Minister of Health also had already prepared positioning specifically for the children who may be in the camps. So already that took care of the children in this manner. Yeah.
All right. And are there any specific concerns, Lucy, about food security? We're talking of communities that are already facing hunger or economic hardship. And I know that in Southern Africa also, this is the time that farmers are actually thinking of, planting their maize, and rural communities as well. So what are they saying even about the potential crop and livestock losses caused by the flooding?
Right now, I don't have the records on how this has impacted the fields right now, but we know in some areas they haven't planted yet, but still we are waiting for the assessments. I have also to mention that last year was not a good year for us because of El Nino. The yields, the harvest yield were not as good. So already people are struggling when it comes to access for food. And now being a lean season, they are already in those for stress. And this is just adding on top of the stress that they are already in. So I heard from the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, who have already prepositioned food items to support these people who have been impacted by cyclone. And I also noticed that they were still asking for partners if they can also support to add more on these food items that are already available. So yes, because we know already that this may happen, and at the beginning of the season, during the contingency planning, they already put aside some relief items in case we have a disaster. So yeah, this year is under control for now.
Right. And how does climate change play into the increasing frequency and intensity of cyclones hitting Malawi and the broader region, Lucy?
Right now, we are seeing that indeed climate change is affecting us. We used to have tropical cyclones affecting Malawi, but it was maybe once in 10 years. But right now, you can see the frequency. And it's all because, with global warming, the temperatures on the Indian Oceans are increasing more than normal, and that is creating a conducive environment for these cyclones to develop. So yes, we are being impacted negatively on this, unfortunately. And looking at the future, it seems like we need to find ways of adapting.
Now, Mirriam, as we conclude our discussion with you today, have there been any challenges in delivering accurate real-time information to affected communities or to just the citizens of Malawi?
No, not that what I recall of. Stakeholders have been really forthcoming with information, and it has been really a walk in the park when it comes to getting information from the rightful holders and to disseminate it to the communities. It has been a really good experience.
Right. Thank you so much, Lucy Mtilatila and Mirriam Kariza, for joining us today here on DW Africa Link podcast.
Get the stories that are shaping the continent here on Africa Link.
At the Africa Link podcast, we always look across the continent to see how the stories and issues we are dealing with play out or at times even overlap. UNICEF has emphasized the urgency of contingency plans in Mozambique as Cyclone Chido continues to wreak havoc, already claiming lives and displacing communities. Speaking from Pemba, the capital of Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province, UNICEF Chief of Advocacy and Communications, Guy Taylor, said his organization was dealing with both short-term and long-term impacts, citing loss of life and damage to crucial infrastructure as an immediate priority.
I'm in Pemba, the capital of northern Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province, where Cyclone Chido has made landfall this morning as an intense tropical cyclone, bringing with it very heavy winds and rain. UNICEF is concerned about the immediate impacts of this cyclone, the loss of life, the damage to schools, to people's homes, to healthcare facilities. We're also worried about the longer-term impacts, children potentially being cut off from learning for weeks on end, people unable to get access to healthcare, and the potential spread of waterborne diseases like cholera and malaria. UNICEF is here on the ground working closely with our partners and in support of government to respond to the immediate needs of those impacted by the cyclone. But with a cyclone of this magnitude, additional support is urgently needed.
That's it for this edition of Africa Link. Remember, you are not just a listener, but a part of our community, and your engagement can shape the direction of our discussions. We value your insights and encourage you to share your thoughts with us. Remember to follow so you can catch all of the Africa Link podcast episodes. This podcast was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabi. My name is Josie Mahachi. Thanks for listening. Until the next one, it's bye for now.
DW News.
Good day, I'm Sertan Sanderson with Africa Link News. Parts of southeastern Africa are still